Hello, guys, welcome to all of you on our YouTube channel or website. Don't waste your time to check your steno script one by one for each error. Use our website www.stenoforall.com with auto checking facility or much more. All candidates are ready to write at a speed of 140 words per minute. But New Delhi has noticed the protest from others, especially France, that has lost a lucrative submarine deal in the bargain, prompting Prime Minister Narendra Modi and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to reach out to their French counterparts. France has recalled its ambassadors to the US and Australia, accusing them of betrayal by negotiating their defense partnership with the UK and without informing European allies. The EU and Asian countries have been reserved in their reactions. US President Joe Biden and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson have now spoken to French President Emmanuel Macron, but it remains to be seen whether the damage to the ties can be reversed. Given the different reactions and widespread impact of the AUKUS partnership, India's non note is not surprising. There are two sides to it. The promising possibilities of the alliance include strengthening the Quad's agenda to keep the Indo Pacific region free, open, and inclusive. The alliance could also extend itself to bolstering the Quad's efforts on maritime exercises, security, and efforts is countering COVID 19, climate change, cooperating on critical technologies, and building resilient supply chains. More broadly, the US threefold messaging on AUKUS seems to be in line with India's hopes that America is back after 4 years of retrenchment from global issues, is as engaged with its Indo Pacific flank as it is with its transatlantic flank, and is focused in partnership with fellow democracies in particular. But the concerns over AUKUS are considerable too, that the timing of the announcement of the deal just before the Quad leaders meet could overshadow the latter and also signal that the US is relegating the Quad to less substantive issues in the Indo Pacific. With the sudden announcement of the AUKUS, a worry for New Delhi is that the USA is now promoting a security partnership with its Anglo Saxon treaty allies that is excluded from, possibly upsetting the balance of power in the region and setting off new tensions to India's east, adding to the substantial turbulence in India's west caused by the developments in Afghanistan. It took an assertive Supreme Court to persuade a reluctant center, and in welcome turn of events, families of those who died of COVID 19 are to get ex gratia financial relief of rupees 50,000 per deceased individual within 30 days of submitting the necessary documents. The staggering impact of the pandemic cannot be meaningfully addressed with a token sum, but it nevertheless provides immediate succor to families that have lost the breadwinners and productive members. No other scourge in living memory has taken a toll of tens of thousands of lives in 18 months, although India has high chronic and invisible mortality due to disease and road traffic accidents. As of September 13, WHO recorded 44,057 COVID 19 deaths in India and 3 crore 35 lakh 31,498 cases, indicated that the current ex gratia outlay would be the order of rupees 2300 crore. The relief amount proposed by the National Disaster Management Authority is to be paid out of the State Disaster Response Fund, which represents a dedicated facility to deal with notified disasters, including COVID 19. State authorities will create a people friendly claims mechanisms. Fresh audits and recertification of deaths have become an important factor given the move by several states to keep virus mortality numbers low, attribute a significant number of deaths to comorbidities rather than the infection, and indisputable under recounting of lives lost in the two phases of the pandemic. The ex gratia payment decision puts the issue of compensation on sound footing and provides clarity for future cases. But the task before the states is to ensure that the process is easy, accurate, and empathetic. It should be possible for such claimants to submit a simple form electronically. More challenging will be the issue of resolving cases where the medical certification of cause of death has not acknowledged its COVID 19. In fact, such disputes have already entered the realm of litigation, with families seeking judicial relief because doctors refuse proper certification and cite underlying conditions of patients based on government instructions. Also, the center must consider providing additional compensation in the future, treating COVID 19 on a par with other disasters such as cyclones, major accidents, building collapses, and industrial mishaps, where the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund has been sanctioning rupees 2 lakh for that and rupees 5 lakh for serious injury. In a positive move, the demand for inclusion of COVID 19 cases for compensation where people took their own lives due to mental agony has been accepted. Going forward, the center must now quickly set up risk insurance for disasters as suggested by the 15 Finance Commission, to which states will readily contribute. The most recent labor stats for August 2021 released by the Center for Monitoring India Economy shows that the unemployment rate has increased from around 7% in July to 8.3% for August 2021. In absolute terms, employment shrunk from 399.7 million in July to 397.8 million, that is 1.9 million jobs lost in 1 month. Several analysis shows that most of the jobs lost were farm jobs, while non-farm jobs did increase to absorb some of these. The quality of new jobs generated is a matter of concern. While employment in agriculture fell by 8.7 million, non-farm jobs increased by 6.8 million, mainly in business and small trade, but the manufacturing sector shed 0.94 million jobs. Thus, much of the labor shed by the agriculture has been absorbed in low-end services activities. During normal times, seasonal labor released from agriculture gets accommodated in the construction sector, even though the ideal situation would be their movement to the factory sector. But currently, the construction sector itself is shedding jobs, forcing workers to find employment in the household sector and low-end services. This non-availability of sufficient jobs in manufacturing and higher end services could be the dampener for economic recovery in the subsequent quarters of the current fiscal year. Elementary economic theory suggests that raising of the level of investments is the key to output and employment growth. While public investments are important, especially in the current context of sluggish aggregate demand, there is a dire need to complement public investments with even more private investments. The economy has been waiting for private investments to flow for quite some time, but their levels has been very low, attenuating the unemployment situation. Resorting to foreign direct investment to augment domestic capital formation is an approach that India has been pursuing by making ease of doing business more enticing. While inward FDI does generate jobs both directly and indirectly through an increase in production activities, the magnitude of employment generated, especially in the manufacturing sector, needs closer scrutiny. Further, the sustainability of increased employment is often threatened as it depends on the business avenues which other competing economies open up, leading to corporate reconstructing at the global level and firm exist from erstwhile locations. Today, employment growth in manufacturing sector is not a recent phenomena in India. However, some subsectors within the manufacturing sector have generated both direct and indirect employment by attracting FDI and entering into global networks of production. A prominent segment, often projected as a driver of the manufacturing sector's output and employment growth, is the auto sector. Estimates show that the automobile sector employs 19.1 million workers directly and indirectly. Currently, more than 70% of the auto component companies are small and medium enterprises. It was expected that by 2022, the employment in this sector would reach 38 million with a higher generation of indirect employment. However, three factors have created roadblocks to the expansion of the sector. First, due to the novel coronavirus pandemic and subsequent lockdown, aggregate demand in the economy is low, which is being reflected in vehicle sales. Second, the shortage of semiconductors continue to impact production even when consumer sentiments are slowly turning positive. Third, the recent exit of Ford from the Indian market would release a large number of employees who would be in search of jobs that are hard to find. The exit of Ford raises some important issues regarding the unbridled attraction of FDI. While FDI might help in creating manufacturing ecosystem in certain locations, the uncertainties of the global corporate reconstructing and changes in the economic environment in the lead firm's home economy are factors to reckon with. More frequent global production rearrangements are becoming a part of strategy of big firms in the face of globalization, as markets tends to be more volatile due to repeated demands and in fluctuations. We have had the experience of Nokia, which is at its peak in its Sripembure factory, was one of the largest mobile factory with 8,000 permanent employees working three shifts, produce more than 15 million phones a month and exporting products to over 80 countries. Thank you. But